You call yourself lazy. You look at everything you're not doing and think, I just don't have the discipline. I just don't have the motivation. I'm just lazy. But you're not lazy. You're afraid. And the reason I know that is because lazy people don't beat themselves up about not doing things. Lazy people are fine with not doing things. They're comfortable with it. They don't lie awake at night thinking about all the stuff they should be doing. They don't feel guilty about it. They just don't care. But you care. You care a lot. You want to do the thing. You know you should do the thing. You think about doing the thing constantly, but you don't do it. And then you tell yourself it's because you're lazy. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is you're afraid. And fear looks a lot like laziness, but it's not the same thing. So let's talk about what's really going on here, because once you understand the difference, you can actually fix it. So laziness is apathy. It's not caring. It's being okay with not doing the thing. There's no internal conflict, no guilt, no stress, just indifference. Fear is resistance. It's caring deeply, but avoiding anyway. It's wanting to do the thing, but finding every reason not to. It's the guilt, the stress, the constant mental loop of, I should be doing this. Why am I not doing this? What's wrong with me? If you're stuck in that loop, you're not lazy. You're afraid. And the fear is masking itself as procrastination. So, what are you actually afraid of? Because it's not always obvious. Most of the time, the fear isn't about the task itself, it's about what the task represents, what it means if you do it, what it means if you fail when you try. So, let's break down the most common fears that look like laziness. Number one is fear of failure. You're not avoiding the thing because you don't want to do it. You're avoiding it because you're scared it won't work. You're scared you'll put in the effort and it'll flop. You're scared you might look stupid. You're scared you'll prove to yourself that you're actually not capable. So you don't even start. Because if you don't start, you can't fail. And if you can't fail, you can protect the possibility that maybe you could do it if you tried. Maybe you're good enough. You just haven't tested it yet. But here's the thing, as long as you're not testing it, you're stuck. You're living in the safety of potential. And potential, it doesn't build anything. Potential doesn't move you forward. Potential is just a story you tell yourself to avoid the discomfort of actually trying. And the longer you avoid it, the bigger the fear gets. Because now it's not just about failing at the thing, it's about failing after waiting so long. It's about proving that all that time you spent not doing it was wasted, that you were wrong to wait, that you should have started earlier. So the fear compounds and the procrastination gets even worse. And you call it laziness, but it's not. It's fear. So number two is fear of judgment. You're not avoiding the thing because you're lazy. You're avoiding it because you're scared of what people will think. You're scared that they will judge you. You're scared they'll criticize you. You're scared that they'll see you trying and think you're foolish or arrogant or not good enough. So you don't put yourself out there. Because if you don't put yourself out there, well, you can't be judged. And if you can't be judged, you can stay safe. You can stay small. You can keep everyone's approval intact. But here's what actually happens, you don't start the business because you're scared people will think you're crazy. You don't post the content because you're actually scared people will think you're trying too hard. You don't make the career move because you're scared people will think you're making a big mistake. And in the process of protecting yourself from their judgment, you stop yourself from doing what you actually want to do. You give them control, not because they actively stop you, but because you're stopping yourself on their behalf. And the worst part, most of the judgment you're scared of doesn't even exist. You're imagining it. You're creating a story in your head about what people will think. And then you're treating that story like it's real, like it's inevitable, like it's already happened. But it hasn't. And most of the time, it won't. Because people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. They're thinking about themselves, their own problems, their own insecurities. their own lives. But you're so busy managing the imaginary judgment that you're not doing the thing. And you call it laziness. But it's not, it's fear. And number three, fear of success. This one sounds counterintuitive, but a lot of people are more afraid of success than failure because success means change. Success means visibility. Success means responsibility. And for some people, that's terrifying. If you succeed, people will notice you. They'll have expectations. They'll want things from you. You won't be able to hide anymore. You won't be able to play small. You'll have to show up consistently. And that feels like pressure. Or maybe success means that you'll outgrow the people around you. You'll change and they won't. And you're scared of what that will do to your relationships. You're scared of being alone. You're scared of becoming someone you don't recognize. So you sabotage yourself. Not consciously, but you do it. You procrastinate. You have to do things. You start, but you don't finish. Because if you don't succeed, you don't have to deal with the change. You don't have to deal with the expectations. You don't have to deal with the discomfort of becoming someone new. And you call it laziness, but it's not. It's fear. And number four, fear of not being good enough. You're not avoiding the thing because you're lazy. You're avoiding it because you don't think you're actually good enough. You don't think you're ready. You don't think you're qualified enough. You don't think that you're the kind of person who actually does this. So you wait. You wait until you're better, until you know more, until you feel ready, until you're actually the kind of person who can pull this off. But here's the problem with that route: you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to feel good enough, not until you do it. Because confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. You don't become good enough and then do the thing. You just do the thing and then you become good enough. But you're waiting and you're waiting. And while you're waiting, you're calling yourself lazy, but you're not lazy. You're just a little scared. You're scared that if you try, you'll prove to yourself that you're not good enough. And as long as you don't try, you can keep believing that maybe you are good enough. Maybe you could be that person. You just haven't tested it yet. But again, potential doesn't build anything. And waiting doesn't make you better. Action does. So, what do you do about this? How do you stop letting fear masquerade as laziness? Well, one, you got to name the fear. You got to stop calling yourself lazy because lazy isn't the problem. Fear is. And you can't fix fear if you're mislabeling it. So, ask yourself this: what am I actually afraid of? What's the worst thing that could happen if I move forward with this? What am I protecting myself from by not doing it? And be honest. Don't give yourself the surface answer. Dig deeper. The fear is usually one layer below what you think it is. You're not afraid of starting the business. You're afraid of starting the business and failing and proving you're not capable. You're not afraid of posting the content. You're afraid of posting the content judged and losing people's approval that you may not even had in the first place. You're not afraid of making the move, you're afraid of making the move and it not working out and regretting it forever. So name the fear, because once you name it, you can work with it. The second thing is to separate the fear from reality. Most of the things you're afraid of aren't even real. They're stories, assumptions, projections, and you're treating them like facts. So ask yourself, is this fear based on reality? Or is it based on a story I'm telling myself? If you start the business and it fails, will you actually be ruined? Or will you just learn something and try again? If you post the content and someone judges you, will it actually matter? Or will you just move on and keep going? If you make the move and it doesn't work out, will you actually regret it or will you be glad that you tried? Most of the time, the fear is worse than the actual reality, but you won't know that until you test it. The third thing is to take action before you feel ready. You're waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel brave, but you're not going to feel any of those until after you do it, not before. So stop waiting, just take the first step. Not a big step, not a perfect step, just the next step. You don't have to launch the whole business, just work on it for 15 minutes. You don't have to post 10 pieces of content, just post one. You don't have to make the huge career move. Just take one action that moves you in that direction. Because action is what breaks the fear. Not thinking about it, not planning it, not waiting for it, doing it. And once you do it once, the fear gets smaller, and you do it again, and the fear gets smaller again. And eventually, the thing you were terrified of becomes normal because you've done it enough times that it's not scary anymore. Right. So the fourth thing is stop calling yourself lazy because you're not. You're afraid. And there's a difference. Lazy people don't care, but you care. You care so much that it's paralyzing you. And that's not laziness, that's fear. And fear is fixable, but you can't fix it if you keep mislabeling it. So stop telling yourself that you're lazy. Start telling yourself the truth, which can be hard, which is, I'm afraid, and I'm going to do it anyway. Here's what I want you to think about. What's one thing that you've been calling yourself lazy about? And what are you actually afraid of? Not the surface fear, the real fear beneath. The one you don't want to admit to yourself. And then ask yourself this: what's one small action I can take today that would prove to myself that the fear isn't as big as I think it is? Not a perfect action, not a huge action, just a small thing that moves you forward. Because you're not lazy, you're afraid. And the only way to deal with fear is to act in spite of it. If this resonates with you, then head over to natehooks.com. The link is in the description below. There you'll find links to a free community I've created called Beyond Overthinking. And if you want to work with me personally, one on one, I've got a few options there as well. Either way, thanks for watching. And remember, you're not lazy, you're afraid. And that's okay. Just don't let the fear stop you.